Cosmic exploration is here, and that means the first step of the Relic quest. Now, I'll break it down everything you need to know, but the short of it is going to be you're going to be hitting a lot of rocks. To start off, if you go to Old Charlian and then you unlock the quest there, and then you get to go to the moon, and this is where the fun really starts. I will say I did one Relic today. I got on at about 5:30. It is currently 7 o'clock. It took me about 12 and a half, 13 hours to complete the Relic, while also learning about all of the cosmic exploration has to offer. So don't use that as a judgment of how long it's going to take, but if you want to know, it's going to be about 10-ish hours for both the gatherers and the crafters. I'll be focusing on the gatherers a little bit more than the crafters, but the steps are basically the same. So when you come into the zone on the moon, the first thing you need to know really is all of the activities you're going to be doing are very leave quest like. You go into the selector, you select your mission, and then you complete the task that it has available. And through these tasks, you will get points. And as you progress through all of the steps, there are 9 steps in total, starting at level 1, ending up at level 9, and you will progress your weapon accordingly. In order to get a weapon, all you have to do is talk to the little Lafret right here, and then this basically starts your Relic grind journey. You do not have to use the Relic in order to level this up. All it does is grant you additional points as you're doing so. Don't make the mistake that I did as using your Relic and then missing out on the ability to being able to gather or craft. It is much needed later down the line if you're interested in points. So you do not have to use the Relic to level up the actual quest or progress in the quest. Now from there, basically it's going to come down to is doing all of these leave type quests over and over and again, and as you progress they will increase in difficulty and giving you different level rewards. They range from levels 1 through 4 on this first step. I don't remember exactly where I unlocked all of them, but it's pretty easy to understand once you get into it. Basically what it comes down to is you need a prerequisite amount of points. So for me it was Cosmic Miner. They go from ranges Cosmic Miner 1 through 4, and in order to get to the next step you just fill in the bar all the way. It'll tell you how many points you need. So for the first quest, it's 200, and then you just complete enough of the quest in order to get 200 points, and then you automatically go on to the next step after you talk to the Lafret. So on and so forth until you get to the final quest, which is going to then ask you to get a ton of points in all of these different categories. Don't have to worry about capping a little bit, because they do give you some wiggle room. For example, when you are at the second level of the quest, it'll ask you to get like 150 of the Cosmic Miner 2 and then like 300 of Cosmic Miner 1, but then it will say the maximum amount of points you can get in Cosmic Miner 1 is 500. So even if you overcap on your Cosmic Miner 1 on the step requirement, which is 300, as long as you don't hit that max, it is not wasted, because eventually as you come to the very end of the quest line, you're going to need 2800, 2900, 2500, and 1500 points in each of the categories of 1 through 4 respectively in order to get your final step. So if you are worried about that, you don't really have to be. They really thought ahead on this. And essentially what it is you just keep doing these leave quests until you get enough points in the categories that you want in order to progress the step. And then as you get later on, like stage 8, you can then use that Relic. It doesn't really give you bonus points on towards the points that you need in the Cosmic Miner section, but it does give you more of the lunar points, which then you can use that currency to buy whatever you want. Just keep that in mind. Another thing to note that I found is very helpful is they have these fate-like events, and as you do those, you will get a bonus once you completed them. I always got the bonus when I was a part of the event, as long as it was there when I was there and had some part of contribution, and the bonuses for your next 20 leaf quest activities, you will get bonus points of either lunar points, currency, or the research points. So it's very important to always have that buff. So whenever you see that coming down low, you might want to look out for a fate. And if you do a fate and say you had 10 of 20 left on your bonus, it refreshes it up to 20. It'll never go past 20, but as long as you are part of that fate, you will get 20 points. And then another thing to note off of all of that, just so you're aware, it took me around 180 of these leave quests in order to get a max relic, or at least the first step max. And that's quite a bit of time investment. So maybe you want to plan it out accordingly. Don't sit down and do it all in one day like I did. I wouldn't recommend that. I didn't have anything better to do today, so that's why I did this. And also you can learn from my mistakes. If you do not find a quest that you like on your categories that have, as you go through them, you're going to have about 12 quests. And if you don't see any of the quests that you want for the like Cosmic Miner 3, for example, you can accept a quest and immediately abandon it to reroll, or you can also switch to another class. So I would recommend leveling up another crafter at the time so you don't have to wait for your GP to regen, because some of these tasks are very GP heavy dependent. So there is that. Switch to a crafter and it'll re-roll all of your minor tasks that you have available to you after you completed one of the carpenter tasks, for example. And a few tips to note on all of that is, as you get further along in these quests, if you look at them, there's going to be like class B, C, A, A1, A2, and so forth. As you go up higher, those quests become harder and the objectives that you need to complete become harder. There's a lot of different ones, but one of the most annoying ones is chaining nodes, which essentially is hit as many nodes as possible in a row to get points. And if you max out your GP, so around 1,000, you have food and you have a GP pot ready and you use it, it still might not be enough to guarantee gold. So as you understand some of these things, look out for those things, look out for the task, because it's very important that you do the task at hand. And as they get more difficult, you almost need to be prepped going into them to maximize the amount of gain that you get. The amount of gain that you can get for completing them are ranging in terms of metals of bronze, silver, and gold. And as you would expect, bronze gives you the least amount of points, silver gives you the expected amount of points when you take in the quest, and then gold gives you the most. So definitely try to shoot for gold. I personally don't always do that. I do think it's better to be just like, I call it brute force, but doing as many quests as possible and then saving your GP for the next task, because I would rather do that than sit around and waiting for my GP to regen. This is where it might be beneficial to then start leveling up a crafter instead of what I did. I'll let you decide on that, but that's as far as it goes. That's basically how to do the relic. One thing to note on the crafting ones, even though I did spend a minimal amount of time on the crafting, do note as you get to the A level task, which is the highest level task for the crafters, you will need to be able to do expert crafts. So it's kind of a investment on the crafting end, and it's a little bit more challenging. I have a macro here that I'll link below. I just pulled it from the team craft. So if this is something that you're looking for, I just plugged into the team craft of how I got this. So I just put in one of my stats for my carpenter and the item is available. And then I just made a rotation finder. And then copied it in game. I'll link it in the chat below with Teamcraft, but I would definitely recommend you doing your own macro. It worked for me for all my crafters, but all my crafters are about the same. So if you have crafters at different levels or whatever, you might want to adjust it accordingly. Now, I hope this is enough to help you get started and understand how to get the relic step and how to complete it. If other people have tips, definitely leave them down in the comments below. This is the first day of this, so I'm not saying this is anything I was doing was any amount of optimal at all, but it's definitely how you do the quest. I'm sure there'll be strategies in the future to streamline this a little bit better than I did, but hopefully you find it helpful and insightful. And as always, I hope you have a great day.